This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Tiger Plumbing. Whether you need to replace a faucet, overhaul your sump pump, or desludge your drains, call Tiger Plumbing. In today's world, knowing who's at your door is important. Tiger Plumbing sends you your technician's photo, estimated time of arrival, and a little bit about him or her. Hey, Sam likes fishing and camping. Cool.
Hello, we're coming to you from the Bill and Kelly studio in beautiful Highland, Indiana.
Also known as our living room.
Yeah. And with us today we have Judi Caddick, who is the president of the Highland Education Foundation, which is a foundation that was set up to provide grant opportunities for teachers and for schools in these trying times of schools getting funding through the state. And they also, how they provide the funding for these grant opportunities is they have a series of events throughout the year, and of course they accept contributions from various entities. And so with that, Judi, welcome back to our show.
So it's good to be back.
Great. It's always fun having you here and talking about the neat things going on. And then, it's, and I can't say this enough with the trying times that the schools are under, and we've just read about all the teachers going down to Indianapolis to try to influence the state legislature to provide more funding for their salaries, which were underpaid teachers in the state compared to the rest.
For the most part, are underpaid.
And then you look at education funding in general in the state of Indiana, it's pretty much about the same. So what I always tell people, these foundations that help schools have not just a nice thing to do, but it's become a lifeline in some cases. Some programs would suffer if that foundations didn't exist. So, again, welcome, and tell us what's going on with the foundation.
Yes.
Any of the neat programs going on?
Well, the foundation has been very busy, and I'm glad you mentioned about the state funding, because one of the things that, as a retired teacher myself and founder of the Education Foundation here in Highland, I was very aware of the fact that teacher salaries, especially in Indiana, have not kept up even with inflation. So, and when you also account the added costs for things like their medical insurance, in many cases, they're making less than they were making previously. So it's very difficult. And along with that, teachers are always taking money out of their own pocket to purchase things for their classrooms. So while we can't provide them with raises, we can provide them with the funds to purchase things for their classrooms so they don't have to take the money out of their own pocket. So what we try to do, and we only provide grants to School Town of Highland educators, are the surrounding communities have had education foundations in existence for 25 years or more. So Highland is a little late to the game.
A little.
So, so I was, pleased to get into this after spend my retirement project. So it keeps me very busy. I've met a lot of new people, wonderful people, and we do work closely with School Town of Highland. The superintendent, Brian Smith, is on our board of directors. And we have various other community members. We also have two students, a junior and a senior from the high school, who are on the board, and they provide us with interesting feedback and suggestions. So that's also very helpful. We're always looking for additional board members. Right now we could use 2 or 3 more board members. So if you are interested, if you have a passion for education, we're looking for people who have maybe a background in social media, public relations, those kinds of things. We've been very fortunate the last couple of years. that Purdue Northwest has partnered with us, and we have gotten a student from their public relations department, communications department, and they have worked with us on doing some press releases as well as beefing up our social media.
Awesome.
So that's been a really interesting thing. So we've been pleased and fortunate to have that. We have coming up April 4th, we have our 4th annual trivia night, and it's been growing by leaps and bounds. It was our very first fundraiser when we started. Our board was only finalized in November of 2016, so we've really only been around for 3 years, and in that time we have donated between $25,000 and $30,000 for grants to classroom teachers at Schooltown of Highland.
Fabulous.
So we're very happy to do that, have been able to do that. This past year, I brought a list with me because there's so many different things. The first year we awarded grants, there were some interesting grants. They're always interesting grants. Our teachers are very creative. But one of the things that we did donate our very first year, we awarded a grant for the child development class at the high school. We were able to purchase for them 2 simulator babies. Their old ones were over 10 years old, and the new ones are, you can imagine with the technology, the way it's grown. So
creepy real.
Yes. So they can program these simulator babies to cry at 2 o'clock in the morning. They program them, and they have sensors on them so they can tell, if they've had a diaper change, if they've been fed, if they've been handled a little more roughly than they should have. There's an alert. There's all kinds of interesting data that the teachers.
I wonder how many babies sleep the entire night with a dirty diaper.
Someone suggested that Kelly get a simulator that simulates me when I'm not around, and she responded quickly, "Hell no, 1 is enough." So yeah,
1 is more than enough.
I beg to differ.
So yeah, you'd like a clone.
Oh boy, that would be dangerous.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Well, sometimes it's hard to try to be in more than one place at the same time. So, sometimes that would come in handy. We also have donated to supplement math manipulatives for several of the classrooms. Last year, one of our more interesting grants, we provided a grant to outfit a sensory room. We find that more and more children are having issues with anxiety and other issues, and sometimes they just need a place, not to be sent to the principal's office because they can't sit still, but they need to go someplace where they can just take a deep breath, be there for about 5 minutes, decompress. And, the paraprofessionals or the school counselor, we provided the funds for this at Merkley Elementary.
Great.
So I've been over there, and it's wonderful, and it's definitely being used. And it has, some different seating. It's got some stuff sensory things that they can, touch and feel, and, stress balls and just a whole bunch of other stuff. It's very interesting to see.
Especially because a lot of children nowadays are being diagnosed with Asperger's or types of autism.
Somewhere on the
where
spectrum.
where they're somewhere on the spectrum, and to get away from something that's really upsetting them or freaking them out, to have a place like that is a great idea.
At the risk of dating myself, when I was in school many, many years ago, we had a morning recess, we had an hour for lunch, and we had an afternoon recess.
Oh, absolutely.
And children in the schools today have usually one recess.
Yeah, and I've heard of one school district that is doing away with their recess because the funding for the aides on the playground.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, it is very sad because one thing that, with what we've been finding to encourage a healthy lifestyle for children, they need that active time, and it's a way for them to get out.
To get out and have a good game
Good
of
time,
Foursquare and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that we used
yeah,
to
oh
do.
yeah.
You know, movement is very beneficial for with the brain functioning. Along with the sensory room, we've provided funding for alternative seating in a lot of the classrooms. And one of the teachers actually has their a little bicycle pedal thing that goes under the child's desk.
I've seen those.
And the children are reading, and you would think it would be a distraction, but it's not. They're sitting there at their desk and they're pedaling like crazy,
Interesting. Huh.
but it allows them to focus, and it's really helped with their reading comprehension. So, you know, there are different things. And even this past grant cycle, we supplied some alternative seating for middle school. Sometimes people think that when kids get in middle school, that all of a sudden they can just, you know, sit in a desk and, you know, sit in one place, and not every kid is able to do that.
I look back at junior high and we were all a bunch of
Oh my
wackadoodles.
God. My office at Belco Schools used to be in the middle school, and I
Yeah.
after being there for just 2 months,
Crazy people.
I made the statement to our superintendent saying that our middle school teachers are severely underpaid.
Middle school is a tough time.
As a 27-year veteran of middle school teaching,
Then you know what I
I,
say.
I have a soft spot for the middle school teachers.
sure.
You know, everybody thinks that it's the kindergartners that are up and around and need to move. And middle school kids need to move too, some of them. Some of them, I mean, like school was probably made for me because I have no problem sitting in one spot for hours on end and reading, but not everybody can do that. And if it helps kids to be able to focus on their schoolwork more easily, that's very helpful.
That's a huge plus.
We've also provided grants for some of the teachers. A couple of them have gotten what we call personal amplification devices. So they have microphones. Having developed a teacher voice over the years, I've found that you know, it really does affect your voice. And a couple of my teacher friends ended up with like polyps on their vocal cords from
word.
constantly
Just talking.
straining.
Wow, yeah.
You know, and always going back to school when the beginning of the school year. You know,
I remember my 8th grade teacher had no problem with their vocal cords. You could hear Sister Rosarita from all 8 classrooms at St. Mark's at any time or any given, usually yelling at me, but
no, you know, it's like, please don't make me use my teacher voice because I rarely need a microphone. But it does come at a cost, I think. Some other things that we've given, I need to look at notes because we've awarded so many grants. Oh, at the high school, we awarded a grant for drones.
awesome.
And so
man.
the kids were coding, and I was invited to go over and watch, and the teacher had set up like an obstacle course. And they had to program their drone to go a certain distance and then land and then go in a different direction a certain distance, and it was all programmed to where they had to go, and they had to do that ahead of time. So it was really
I
interesting.
love that because I'm one of those hands-on kind of people. That's how I
Yeah.
learn best. I can't really, like if instructions come, I don't want to read the instructions. Show me how to do it. Let me touch it, do it, feel it. So that's awesome.
Well,
That fires on so many skills. Oh man,
Yeah.
it's
super cool.
Yeah, and boy, just troubleshooting. You know, and that, because one of the things that have gone away is the programming classes because they couldn't fund it, And something like this that teaches them the step process where they go through and see a cause and effect of what they've written or the command that they've given is tremendous. It is
That's a great program.
absolutely huge impact.
You
So-
guys rock with all
Yeah,
the cool things
man,
you're
I'm
helping
telling
out
ya.
with.
We also provided some equipment, and honestly, I have absolutely no idea what it does. The project Lead the Way, something called an X cutter and a vinyl cutter. And one of the things that we were able to do, not only did we provide a grant for some of the equipment for one of the Project Lead the Way classes, I also, in doing some networking, became aware of another foundation that was giving out some STEM grants. And they had been giving them out in Illinois, had not yet gone into the Indiana area. And so they were able to get a grant from them for a piece of equipment that was
That's great.
a larger piece of equipment, more expensive than what we would award the grant
That's
for.
great.
So usually we try to limit our grants per teacher to around $1,000. Some are a lot less, sometimes it's only $100. But that's $100 a teacher isn't taking out of their
Their own
pocket. And if
pocket.
it enhances classroom instruction and makes the instruction more engaging, that's a benefit. Another thing we did last year, we provided a grant for the entire sophomore class at the high school to take a field trip to Purdue Northwest. Now, when I first read the grant, I was thinking, Purdue Northwest is right down the street. Parents can just take their kids down to Purdue Northwest. Why do we have to, take them on a field trip over there? And the thing is that not all children feel that college is for them. And there are certainly many areas, I'm all about vocational training as well. But they don't know what programs are offered. If the parents are not college educated, and many of our parents are not, we have a lot of, hardworking blue collar families who've maybe not had the opportunity or the desire to go to college. And the children are they're on the fence about it. And at least if they can go there, and Purdue Northwest put on a wonderful program for them for the day, explain their different programs, explain to them about financial aid, just talk to them about, choices that they might not have thought about.
Yeah. And that's the entire sophomore class.
That was the entire
Yeah,
sophomore
which is
class
fabulous.
that we did last year. And it was so successful. The thing is that they did it a little later in the year, and I think the kids had already picked out their schedules, set their schedules for their junior year. And a lot of them came back saying, can we change our schedule? And then they also stressed, the grade point averages that would be required, which is a big motivator for a
Sure.
sophomore student to realize, hey,
Yeah, and what better resource to have to take the kids to right in our backyard, Purdue North Central. That's great.
well, it was a successful thing. And we don't like to, because our fees, our funds are limited, we don't like to award grants for the same thing every year. In this case, I think we may have made an exception because it did have such a high impact for a relatively low cost. But one of the things is that when the administration found out about the impact it was having, the counseling department talked to Dr. Mitchell over at the administration center, and she wrote that into a federal grant because they are doing, there's more of an emphasis on career readiness. So now we're not funding that grant this year, but it's still happening.
It kickstarted it.
It kickstarted
That's
it.
great.
So that frees up funds for other things, but that's
great.
something that we're very proud of, and we
Yeah.
thought was really a beneficial thing.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys do some great work helping the school, so we really applaud
Yeah.
the work that the foundation has done. Let me ask you just one question before we get
Sure.
too far. It may be appropriate time to ask this. So you get grant applications. Do you have windows within the year that you receive the applications?
We have one grant cycle in the fall.
Okay.
So usually the grant applications go out in early September, shortly after school starts, and the grants are usually due the end of September.
Okay.
And we have such a small board, and everybody on the board is so just engaged in our process. Larger foundations like the Munster Education Foundation, I know that they have a committee that goes through the grants. Our board members, everybody wants to go through the grants. So I get the grants, and what we do is everybody gets a copy of every grant, and the names of the teachers in the building have been redacted, so nobody knows.
Right, so
Good
there's no
idea.
favoritism,
Yeah,
like,
right.
you know,
so
that's
it's
my
like,
cousin,
oh.
so I'm gonna make sure she
You know,
wins.
so we try to make it. The thing is, our district is so small that you know, if you're looking for like math materials for the middle school, everybody knows who the middle school math teachers are. You know, so but to the best of our ability, we try. So all the buildings have gotten at least one grant. Some of the buildings have people who are, really gung-ho about writing the grants. We like to have a wide variety, and we're looking for anything that will engage the students, enhance instruction. We things that we don't supply, like construction paper or that kind of thing. A lot of times we have wonderful, especially at the elementary, we have wonderful PTOs and PTCs that usually really help out with a lot of the consumable things that the teachers need. So we're more driven toward the curricular things.
And there are, like, I think Staples or one of the supply companies out there offers, like, people can go on and make donations, and then they deliver the supplies to the school. So there's a number of those out there, which of course, you could concentrate on more of the fine focus into curricular activities.
I love that.
Yeah, I have 2 grandchildren who attend School Town of Highland schools, and my daughter, who's also on our board, is a teacher in School Town of Highland, and she does that for her second grader. She's like, I don't, and it's like, and for me, I mean, I love shopping for school supplies.
Oh my gosh,
I
yeah.
Doesn't bother me either.
How long were you teaching?
27 years.
27 years, and you
I-
still like shopping
I
for
would-
school supplies.
Oh my goodness, the
bless your
first
heart.
year I didn't have to check out the websites for Office Max, Office Depot, and Staples to see when their teacher appreciation days were
Yeah.
before school started, and I would make out my list, and I would dutifully go over there and get any freebie that they had. I just love school supplies. I like the latest dry erase markers that were magnetic and stuck to your dry erase board, so if you didn't leave them
Yeah.
Or the
someplace.
metallic-y
Oh
ones,
my
and the
goodness.
fun, cool neon colors that
Yeah.
come out and everything. Yep, I get it.
Oh yeah.
I do have a question though. So these are the grant opportunities. These are grant ideas that the teachers come up with, right?
Yes.
So they come up with their own idea. Do you ever do the reverse, like you sit around as a board saying, it'd be a neat idea to have, just as an example, like robotics, and say, we're going to put this grant money together and have teachers. Do you ever do anything like that, reverse?
We haven't. We feel that for right now anyway, our teachers usually have things that they have on their wish list, and we also, thus far, we don't supply funds for any extracurricular activities at this point. As our funds grow, we may expand our mission. I know robotics is a big thing, and I know it's a huge expense, and I know that there have been some private donors that have just stepped up, because robotics is fairly new to school town of Highland, and I'm fascinated by the whole thing. I have some grandchildren who attend Crown Point school system, and they have been on their robotics teams for several years.
Yeah, it's an amazing activity.
Yeah.
It is. There's competition, state competition,
I
national.
have been to several of them, because, like I said, I've got two granddaughters that are involved in robotics, and going to a robotics competition is something everybody should experience at least once. It's organized chaos. But I am amazed at what these kids can program those robots. First they have to build the robots, and then they have to program them to do specific things, and it's just amazing. And so I'm glad that Highland has been able to, have sponsors that have stepped up, and but that's something we are talking about. But for right now, our focus is on the classroom. Like I said, School City of Hammond, School Town of Munster, their education foundations that have been around for a long time, they have corporate sponsors, and they have people who make an annual sizable donation, and so they have been able to expand the scope of what they do. So, and I look forward to being able to do that. A lot of the other foundations also give scholarships. We're very fortunate in Highland that we have a wonderful organization that's been around for as long as I've lived in Highland, which is over 30 years, Dollars for Scholars.
Yeah.
And they provide scholarships to students. So, I know you can't ever have too many scholarships because there's a lot of kids that need them. But as I said, our focus for right now that we have is fairly narrow. But as we grow and expand, we're hoping to be able to broaden that scope.
Well, Judy, we're going to have to start wrapping up here pretty soon. But before we do, I want to make sure you've gotten everything you need to tell us about out of the way.
I cannot say enough about the teachers in School Town of Highland, the employees. It's not just the teachers. Everybody that comes in touch with the child is critical as far as that child's education, whether it be the women who serve the lunches, the custodians, the secretaries, all the ancillary staff, the paraprofessionals. They are so wonderful. Mm-hmm. And the support that we've gotten, I would really be remiss if I didn't mention one of the secretaries at the middle school, Jenny Stoika. She came to me, and I actually sub at the middle school and the elementary schools. I don't go to the high school because they do need subs. So Jenny Stoika over at the middle school came to me one time. I was over there, and she said, I have this fundraising idea. And it was at a time where, we were just getting our grant cycle, and it was like a busy time, and I'm thinking, okay, we can't do another fundraiser right now. And she's like, no, I'll do it. She designed, and I should have brought it with me. Actually, I should have worn it. She designed a sweatshirt. And she said, like, IU, she must be an IU grad or has connections with IU. And she said IU does an annual, not ugly sweater, but maybe it's a sweatshirt. Maybe it is an ugly sweater thing that they do every year. And she said, I thought maybe we should do something. And she calls it the ugly sweatshirt, but it's not ugly. It's adorable. Mm-hmm. She designed it. She took it, she had it produced, took the orders, took the money, and the Education Foundation got it was like $2 or $3. I think it was like $3 for every sweatshirt that she sold.
Oh, wow.
She raised for us. She handled the whole thing.
Wow.
She raised for us $277.
Good for her.
That's
good job. That's
great.
awesome.
So to have that kind of support,
mm-hmm.
she said, I think that what the foundation does is wonderful, and she said, I wanted to do something for you, and, so to raise that extra money,
love
and,
that.
I mean, that's huge. So ways that you can support us, we will take donations anytime. You can find us, we do have a page on School Town of Highland's website. We also have a Facebook page. Our address is, we use the School Town of Highland's central office address. We have a mailbox there, so we get everything. I usually pick up mail from there once a week. But if you're interested, and I'm sure my contact information is on our page on the School Town of Highland website. But we're always looking for ideas. If you like to, plan events, we're always looking for somebody to help out with our trivia night. We're always looking for, more talent to be on our board, donations.
And also you can go to your website or Facebook page and to make a donation. If someone's listening to this and they want to make a donation, they can go there and go to a link, or?
I know that there is on our School Town of Highland
Okay.
webpage, on our page on their website. I'm not sure if we've got a donate button
All right.
on our Facebook page.
But you'll find all the information
Yeah,
you
I-
need, where you can mail it or
Yeah.
whatever.
So, but
Yeah.
any of those things would be great.
Yay.
Or you want to-
Oh, you want to just go ahead?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I can't tell you how much we appreciate all the work you've done, putting the foundation together, and getting all the wherewithal, getting the board together, all the good stuff that's going on. There's something that we wanted to give you that not too many people have. In fact, the people that have it, they're so proud that they take
are.
pictures and put it all over social media.
Yep.
So we wanted to give you a
An
well
official.
sought after, official Bill and Kelly Show mug.
This is awesome. My daughter somehow got one of these.
Yes, she did.
And she
won.
did.
She
Yeah.
won
She
one.
was lording it over me that you might be on the show, but I have a mug and you don't. So
That's
now
right. She
I
won.
Now you
also
can
have
be
a
like
mug.
Nana Boo Boo.
Actually, she did something that only a teacher who is keeps track of what we do can do. We asked some questions about our show, and
She answered
there
them
was
all.
one that she didn't know, but within minutes she did the research and got the answer to it, and bam, she got a mug.
We took it to the school and dropped
Yeah.
it off for her and everything.
Yeah.
And
So-
even the lady in the office was pretty impressed. She's like, "Oh, this is pretty
Yeah.
nice."
Very nice.
I told her if you have a school resource officer, he has to guard this till she comes out and
That's
get
right.
it because they're that
They're,
well.
That's
sought
oh,
after.
they're in such demand.
There is.
They really are.
Well, in our own warped minds, we would like to think though.
They
but,
are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
we
are.
are.
We've
They
had
are.
people hunting for us, and someday we'll get more of them. But
That's right.
Judy, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you not only coming on here, but all the work you do for the
Oh, gosh,
little
yes.
kiddos of Highland. It's much needed. I mean, it's everything that's going on with our state legislature, and funding is not coming about easy, but we have this.
And I'm so happy that Highland finally
Wonderful.
has one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like, if Munster and Griffith can do it, we can do it. That's
Absolutely.
always
Yeah.
been, it's like, wait a minute. And, real quick, the legislature, I know that there's going to be some legislation, and I wish I had the number, the bill number, and I don't. But there's legislation that's been brought up to allow for tax credits for your state taxes for donations to the education foundations.
Okay.
Because
Well,
you get tax
As they
credits for, I think you get tax credits if you send your children to private or parochial schools.
Mhm.
You get some of that. And that we don't have anything, there's nothing that you pay your
public
property
school.
taxes, but for public schools.
Mhm.
And public education is just, the great equalizer.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
We'll
again.
find out what that bill number is. We'll tell people.
Yeah. We know some people that know some. We know a guy that knows a guy that
Yeah,
knows a
sure
guy.
we do.
Yeah. So
We know a few.
yeah, but Judy, can't tell you how much we appreciate coming on again, and
Keep up the good
keep in
work.
mind you've got. Okay, so the next event coming up is in
The next big event?
the big
April
event,
4th.
in
April
April
4th
4th,
for the
event.
trivia night.
trivia night at the Lincoln Center.
It's going to be at the Lincoln Center. Lincoln Center is actually sponsoring us this year. One of
Way
our
to go, Lincoln
sponsors,
Center.
our major
Yeah.
sponsor. So the Park District and Lincoln Center, we just needed a larger space, and we were really adamant about keeping the event here in Highland.
Right. It's a great
That's
area
great.
to have it too. It's the ballroom, the banquet hall is a fantastic
nice,
place.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Really nice.
It's a lovely facility.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a little gem in Highland. That Lincoln
Very good.
Center is beautiful. So,
And speaking of sponsors, before we go,
oh yes,
we would like to thank our two new individual sponsors for our show, Charles Sanchez and Brian Smith. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're
First
thrilled.
two individual
our
sponsors.
First two individual sponsors.
And for those of you who are not familiar with that, we just started. Someone approached me a couple of months back and said, "Look, I see that you've got sponsors, Brown Insurance, we've got Strax, we've got
Creative
Crane
Flooring,
and Warner
Tiger
Rowe,
Plumbing.
Tiger Plumbing,
Plumbing.
and can't
Green
I
Ridge.
sponsor a program?" And I said, "Well, probably not a whole program, but." Let me work on this. And then PayPal came up with a link on our website, and we said, hey, we're ready now. And so it's not much. If you're interested, we accept as little as $10, and if you do up to $60, you get one of those much sought after mugs.
Ooh.
So keep that in mind. You can find the link on our website or on our Facebook page. There's a post. It's called the Individual Sponsorship Program. So if you're interested, please, we'll appreciate it. It helps us get more equipment, helps us help
Keep
people
this thing
get on our
going
show.
on.
Yeah, keep the thing going on. So Judy, again, thank you.
Well, thank you
And-
for having me.
And have a
Always.
great day. Enjoy your mug. If you can
Oh, I will.
get together with your daughter and take a picture with the two mugs.
And
That'd
Oh,
be
we'll
great.
put it up on our site.
We will do that.
Yay,
we
good.
will do that.
Great. Thank you. And with-
We'll wear our Santa is Coming to H-Town sweatshirts that were designed
Can you
by
still
Jenny
order
Soigo.
them?
Not this year. She's going to do a new design for
Okay,
next
good.
year.
Something to look forward to. We'll let you know when that comes out too.
Yes.
Well, thanks again. And we'll say goodbye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Tiger Plumbing. Whether you need to replace a faucet, overhaul your sump pump, or desludge your drains, call Tiger Plumbing. In today's world, knowing who's at your door is important. Tiger Plumbing sends you your technician's photo, estimated time of arrival, and a little bit about him or her. Hey, Sam likes fishing and camping. Cool.